For 30 years, every marketing team on the planet has operated on the same fundamental belief. You build a funnel. You pull strangers in at the top with awareness content. You warm them up in the middle with consideration material. You close them at the bottom with an offer or a call to action. That was the playbook. That was the model every agency sold, every CMO approved, every startup followed. And in the span of roughly 12 months, Google quietly, systematically, and almost without anyone in. The mainstream press, fully appreciating the scale of it, dismantled that entire architecture, not tweaked it, not disrupted it, dismantled it. What Google has built in its place is something the traditional marketing funnel was never designed to survive, and right now the brands that understand what just happened have a window of opportunity. That is closing faster than most people realize. If you manage a brand, run ads, create content, or have ever cared about where your next customer is coming from, this video may be one of the most important things you watch this year. Like and subscribe before we go any further, because you'll want to come back to this one. Let's start with what Google actually announced, because the details matter enormously here and most summaries have badly undersold them. At Google I/O and Google Marketing Live 2026, held across 3 consecutive days in May, the company unveiled what is genuinely the biggest restructure of its advertising and search products in a decade. At the center of everything is Gemini, Google's AI model, which now sits at the core of search, advertising, and measurement, replacing the manual controls that paid search has operated on for the past 2 decades. The headline numbers from the keynote tell you immediately how far this has already gone. AI overviews, Google's AI-generated summaries that appear above search results, has crossed 2.5 billion monthly active users. AI mode, the fully conversational search experience that replaces the traditional list of blue links with a Gemini-powered chat interface, has surpassed 1 billion users. And here is the number that should stop every marketer in their tracks. The average AI mode query runs roughly 3 times longer than a traditional Google search. People aren't searching faster, they're searching deeper inside a single Google interface. And they are not clicking out to your website to do it. If that single fact hasn't already reshaped how you think about your content strategy, smash that like button right now, because it gets significantly more consequential from here. To understand why this breaks the funnel so completely, you need to understand exactly what the traditional funnel was actually built on. The classic awareness, consideration, decision model worked because the customer journey moved in a predictable sequence that marketers could intercept. At each stage, someone became aware of a problem or a need, usually from a piece of content or an ad. They then moved into consideration, visiting multiple websites, reading reviews, comparing options, spending time inside a discovery process that your SEO and your paid media budget were both designed to influence. Finally, they moved into decision, where your landing page, your offer, and your conversion optimization determined whether they bought. Every stage of that journey generated data you could track, optimize, and measure. Session counts, click-through rates, time on page, bounce rates. The entire machine of digital marketing analytics was built to map and manage that linear progression from stranger to customer. Now picture what happens when an AI system collapses all of that into a single conversation that happens entirely inside Google. The user who used to visit 10 product pages, a comparison site, and 2 different forum threads can now have all of that synthesized for them by AI mode in a single multi-turn session that never once produces a referral event in your analytics. They didn't visit your website. They didn't trigger your retargeting pixel. They didn't enter your funnel at any stage, but they formed an opinion about your brand and possibly decided whether to buy from you based entirely on whether Google's AI chose to cite you as authoritative. If you're starting to feel the weight of what that means for your current marketing setup, you are reading the room correctly, and now is a very good time to subscribe. The organic search data is where the scale of this shift becomes undeniable. Systrix analyzed over 100 million keywords and found that a first-position organic ranking drops from a 27% click-through rate to just 11% when an AI overview is present in the search results. That is a 59% reduction in clicks for the most coveted position in organic search, not because the ranking changed, but because AI absorbed the user's attention before they ever reached the blue links. Arifs ran a parallel study across 300,000 keywords globally and found almost identical results, with roughly 58% lower click-through rates when an AI overview appears above organic results. These numbers are not theoretical projections. They are measured, documented reductions in actual user behavior that are already happening at scale right now. And Google Marketing Live 2026 announced that AI surfaces are being extended further into commercial intent. Queries, which are exactly the high-value bottom-of-funnel searches that brands have historically invested the most money in capturing. The funnel isn't dying at the top, it's being hollowed out at every level simultaneously. There is one particular announcement from Google I or O 2026 that most marketing coverage has almost completely glossed over, and it may be the single most structurally disruptive thing Google has ever done to the e-commerce industry. It is called Universal Cart. Google is launching a Gemini-powered cross-merchant checkout hub in partnership with Nike, Sephora, Target, Ulta Beauty, Walmart, Wayfair, and Shopify merchants, with a rollout beginning in the summer of 2026. What Universal Cart does is remove the website visit from the purchase funnel entirely. A customer finds a product through AI mode, adds it to their Universal Cart, and completes the purchase, all without ever visiting the brand's website or entering the brand's own checkout flow. Think about what that means for every tool and every strategy that has been built around owning the customer experience at the point of purchase. Your product page optimization, your cart abandonment sequences, your on-site upsells and cross-sells, your post-purchase email triggers, your loyalty program enrollment, your retargeting. Audiences built from purchase page pixels. All of this assumes that the customer passes through your digital environment at the moment of transaction. Universal Cart is Google saying that assumption is no longer valid. Don't let that fact pass without hitting the like button, because the strategic implication of this for any brand selling physical products is enormous. Alongside Universal Cart, Google also announced Information Agents, another product scheduled for summer 2026, which takes the agentic model even further. Information agents are AI systems that monitor topics on a user's behalf over extended periods of time, sometimes weeks, and then fire a notification when the right moment, the right price, or the right product availability occurs. When that notification converts a user into a buyer, there is no parameter attached to that conversion. There is no session in your analytics. There is no referral path for your attribution tools to trace. The conversion simply arrives, untrackable by every last click or even multi-touch attribution model currently in use across the industry. Experts analyzing the Google I or O 2026 announcements have been explicit about this. Last click attribution is broken by design when information agents and AI mode are part of the customer journey. Marketing mix modeling, which was previously considered a strategic luxury reserved for the largest enterprise advertisers, is now becoming an operational requirement for any brand where AI search touches high-value purchase decisions. The measurement infrastructure that most marketing teams have spent years building was designed for a world that, as of mid-2026, no longer exists at scale. So what actually happens to the brands that get this right versus the ones that don't? The data coming out of early AI search behavior is genuinely striking in how clearly it splits the winners from the losers. Research from AMSIV found that branded queries earn approximately 18% higher click-through rates under AI overviews compared to unbranded queries. Data from Seer Interactive suggests that brands cited inside an AI overview earn roughly 35% more clicks compared to competitors who are not cited. Modo 25 research found a dramatic gap in referral traffic loss between strong and weak brands under the new AI search landscape. The pattern is consistent across every data source under AI search. The currency has shifted from ranking to being cited, and the brands most likely to be cited are the brands Google's AI recognizes as authoritative, trusted, and consistently useful sources of information on their topic. This is not the same as ranking for keywords. A site can rank first for a query and not be cited in the AI overview. Above it, because the AI is making its own assessment of which sources are worth synthesizing, that assessment is built on signals that look far more like brand authority and EEAT, meaning experience, expertise, authority, and trust, than they look like traditional on-page SEO factors. Like and subscribe right now if you want to stay ahead of where this is all heading. Think with Google published its own 2026 marketing predictions and the language the company's own teams use to describe the shift is more direct than most people might expect from a corporate. Those who aren't building a full funnel engine where brand fuels sales and sales build brand are driving with the handbrake on. Google's own marketing leadership is telling the industry in the clearest possible language that the era of separating brand investment from performance investment is over. The old debate between brand and performance, which dominated marketing budget conversations for the entire era of digital advertising, has been rendered obsolete by the same AI infrastructure that Google is now deploying across search, YouTube, and shopping simultaneously for the overwhelming majority of marketing teams sitting in offices right now. The practical response to all of this requires rethinking three things that have been considered settled for years. The first is what success actually looks like. Citation share inside AI overviews and AI mode is now a primary KPI, not a vanity metric only. 17 to 54% of AI overview citations come from top 10 organic search results, which means ranking first in traditional search no longer guarantees inclusion in the AI answer that the user actually reads. Teams that keep classic rank tracking as their primary performance metric are, in the words of multiple search analysts who reviewed the Google I or O 2026 changes, measuring the wrong thing. The second is how content is created and structured. AI systems synthesize information from content that is tight, factual, clearly structured, and consistent with an entity's documented identity across the web. The era of publishing volume first, keyword stuffed content to capture impressions is over. The third is how measurement is approached. Any brand where AI search touches significant revenue decisions needs to begin planning a marketing mix modeling implementation now, not when the attribution gaps become undeniable in quarterly reporting. By then, the competitors who moved earlier will have already captured the structural advantages that come from understanding what's actually driving conversions in the new environment. The marketing funnel had a good run. For 3 decades, it gave the industry a shared language, a shared model, and a shared set of tools for thinking about how customers move from ignorance to purchase. But it was always a simplification, a model built for a world where customers moved through discoverable, trackable digital spaces in ways that advertising technology could observe and influence. Google's AI has broken every one of those assumptions simultaneously. The customer journey is no longer linear. The customer's digital environment is no longer a series of pages that marketers can plant flags in. The attribution path from discovery to conversion is no longer traceable by the technology most teams have access to, and the gatekeepers of what information the customer encounters during their consideration process are no longer search rankings or ad auctions. They are AI systems making autonomous judgments about which brands are worth citing. The brands that understand this and move now, building genuine authority, structuring content for AI synthesis, and measuring outcomes through models that don't depend on last click attribution, are the brands that will be cited. With someone who still thinks keyword rankings are the most important metric on their marketing dashboard, they need to hear it even more than you did. We will see you in the next one. Let's also address something that a lot of experienced marketers will be tempted to say at this point, which is that they've heard the funnel is dead. Before, multiple times, from multiple directions, and the funnel always survived in some form. That skepticism is fair. The death of the funnel has been declared at various points over the past decade, usually tied to the rise of social media, the emergence of content marketing, the growth of influencer culture, or the proliferation of ad blocking technology. Each time, the prediction turned out to be premature. The funnel adapted, evolved, got renamed, got redrawn, but the underlying logic of moving customers through sequential stages remained largely intact underneath whatever new framework marketers dressed it in. What makes the current situation categorically different from every previous announcement of the funnel's death is that this time the mechanism of disruption is not a new channel or a new consumer behavior. It is the infrastructure that connects all channels to all consumers. Google search is not one touch point in the customer journey. It is, for most product categories in most markets, the dominant mechanism through which intent becomes visible and discoverable when the infrastructure of discovery itself changes its operating logic, from showing customers a list of options to synthesizing a recommendation from those options autonomously. The sequential funnel doesn't just lose one stage. It loses the structural assumption that customers pass through discoverable stages at all. That is not a category of change that a rebrand or a channel shift can absorb. It is a change to the physics of digital marketing, and it requires a response at the level of strategy, not just tactics. The agentic dimension of what Google is building is worth dwelling on separately because it represents a shift that goes beyond even what most analysts covering Google Marketing Live 2026 have fully articulated. An agentic AI system is not just a smarter search engine. It is a system that takes actions on a user's behalf autonomously over time without requiring the user to initiate each individual step. When Google's information agents monitor product categories for a user, track price changes across merchants, evaluate competing options against that user's previously stated preferences, and then surface a recommendation at the moment conditions are right. The entire concept of the marketing funnel becomes a description of something that now happens inside a machine, not inside the consumer's own decision-making process. Marketers have always understood that their job was to influence the consumer's journey from awareness to purchase. Agentic AI inserts a layer between the marketer and the consumer's conscious decision-making process, and that layer is making judgments based on criteria that neither the consumer nor the marketer fully controls. The brands that get recommended by an agent are the brands the agent has learned to trust, and the signals that teach an agent which brands to trust are exactly the kind of long-term, consistent, authoritative brand presence that took years to build and cannot be shortcut by clever campaign optimization. Like and subscribe right now, because this is the deepest reason why brand investment is no longer optional for any business that depends on AI-influenced discovery. It is also worth being honest about what we do not yet know, because intellectual honesty matters in a story this significant. We do not yet have enough data to fully quantify how universal cart affects conversion rates and customer lifetime value for the brands involved. We do not yet know exactly how information agents will weight different brand signals when making autonomous recommendations, because those systems are still rolling out as of mid-2026. We do not know how quickly the attribution gap created by AI-influenced session-less conversions will become visible in the reporting of brands across different verticals and price points. What we do know is that every measurable signal from early AI search behavior points in the same direction. Organic click-through rates are down sharply wherever AI overviews appear. Website visits are being removed from purchase flows at the infrastructure level by universal cart. Attribution paths are being severed by agents that act across sessions without generating trackable referral events, and the brands that are visibly outperforming under AI search conditions are the ones that invested in brand authority and citation worthiness before the change happened, not after. That is not a coincidence. It is a pattern and patterns in marketing data that appear this consistently across this many independent data sources this early in a platform transition are almost always telling you something real about where things are heading. There is one more piece of this story that ties everything together, and it comes from Google's own Think with Google research. Published just weeks before Google Marketing Live 2026, the study, conducted in partnership with Ipsos across nearly 13,000 online shoppers globally, found that 75% of people say they make faster, more confident decisions using AI mode. Read that again carefully. More confident, not just faster. More confident, the emotional outcome of the consumer's decision process is changing under AI search. Consumers are reporting higher certainty and lower decision friction when they let an AI system synthesize their research rather than conducting it themselves across multiple websites. For marketers, that finding should be both exciting and clarifying at the same time. It is exciting because faster, more confident decisions mean a consumer population that is more ready to buy at the moment AI delivers its synthesis. It is clarifying because it tells you with unusual precision what the new job of marketing actually is in this environment. Your job is no longer to pull consumers through a sequence of stages you designed and controlled. Your job is to be the brand that the AI confidently recommends when a consumer who is already in a high confidence, high intent state asks the most important version of the question your product or service answers. Everything else, every funnel, every campaign, every piece of content, every SEO strategy needs to be evaluated against that single criterion. Are you the brand the AI cites? And if not, what specifically needs to change before you are? That is the only marketing question that matters in 2026, and every strategy, budget, team structure, and measurement framework your organization runs on should be organized around answering it as quickly and as precisely as possible.